Hello, sixth graders. Welcome to our next math lesson. Today we're going to take a look at lesson 103. It is dealing with perimeter of complex shapes. And our lesson for today is going to begin on page 538. As it mentions on the screen here, it says, in this lesson, we are going to practice finding the perimeter of complex shapes. So the figure below is an example of something that's called a complex shape. And the reason why they call it a complex shape is it's not a typical rectangle or quadrilateral or triangle, stuff like that. It's actually a combination of a couple of different shapes together. But when you take a look at this, you'll notice that two of the sides are actually not given. So this one here, this is letter A, and this one right here is letter B. So the first thing we need to do is actually find those lengths. And then once we find those lengths, then we have to go and find the perimeter. And just as a review, whenever you're trying to find the perimeter of something, you're going to add all the numbers together. So one of the first things I like to do with these particular lessons is figure out how many numbers am I supposed to add together. And that what you do is just basically count the sides. So this is one side. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I need to add 6 numbers, and you'll notice that 4 of the numbers I already know. This is 3 centimeters, this is 6 centimeters, this is 7, we'll scroll that down a little bit, this one's 7, and this one's 4. So those are the 4 numbers that I do know. So if I take the 6 plus 4, I know that that's 10, and I add the 7 plus 3, that's another 10. So far, I know that this is 20. But I'm trying to figure out what these two missing letters are. And so what I have to do to figure that out is use the information in my problem to help me figure out what those letters are. I know the temptation is to go, well, this looks like a 3 and that's about the same size, so let's go ahead and name that 3. What you don't want to do is don't go by looks, class. I know they look like they might be the same. You want to go by facts. Go by the facts that are laid out for us. So let's say, for example, I'm going to try to figure out what side A is. You should notice that side A is a vertical line going up and down. What I would do is look at the other lines that are parallel to letter A. So for example, is 3 parallel to letter A? No, it's not. So I'm not going to look at this 3 here. Is 7 parallel to letter A? No, it is not. I'm not even going to look at that one. But there are a couple that are parallel. Okay, this 6 right here, this is parallel. So I want to use 6 to help me figure out my answer. So 6 is parallel to it. And also the 4 is parallel to letter A. So I'm going to use that 6 and that 4 to help me figure out what letter A is. Now, if you take a look very closely, if I were to take a look at this number, this 4 here, if I took this line here, and let's say I took this line, and if I were to stretch this line all the way out, doesn't it look like this line here and this line right here, if I combine both of these together, doesn't it look like that would be the same length as this one? So what I'm going to do is, I know that if I combine these numbers together, they should be 6. And I already know that this is 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the length of this really long parallel side, which is 6, and I'm going to subtract this other parallel, this smaller parallel. So ultimately, I'm going to take 6 and I'm going to subtract 4, and I'm going to pull this over to show you. I'm taking 6 centimeters, and I'm going to subtract 4 centimeters. And by doing that, that's going to tell me that letter A is 2 centimeters. And again, just as a review, what I did is I was just focusing on the sides that are parallel. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with letter B. Well, I use the 6 and the 4 to help me with letter A. That probably means I'm not going to use those for letter B because they're not parallel. But you should notice that the 7 is parallel, and you should also notice that the 3 is parallel. And also by looking at the shape, if I took this line right here and I were to combine it with this line right here, it should equal 7 centimeters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the long parallel side, which is 7 centimeters, and I'm going to subtract the shorter one, which is 3 centimeters. And so to figure out what letter B is, I'm going to take 7 minus 3, and that would tell me letter B is 4 centimeters. So now what I've done, class, is I've figured out all 6 of my numbers. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I know that B is 4 centimeters. I know that A is 2 centimeters. So now when I added those 4 to begin with, that was 20 centimeters. Now I'm going to add on the 4 centimeters here and the 2 centimeters here. So I take the 20 plus the 4 plus the 2. So all together, if I get my pen back out here, this should be 26 centimeters because I'm adding the 20 that are right here, and I'm adding the 4 centimeters and the 2 centimeters. And so 26 centimeters would be my perimeter. Let's do that with this particular shape right here. It says, find the perimeter of this figure here. Again, how many sides do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I need to add 6 numbers. Now there are 4 numbers that I already know. So I have, one of them is a 4, one of them is a 2, one of them is an 8, and the other one is a 10. Those are the 4 numbers I have so far. I need to add 2 more numbers for me to figure out what my total perimeter is. So let's say I want to try to find n, for example. Here's n, and I want to look for the sides that are parallel to n. Is 4 parallel to n? No, it's not. Is 8 parallel to n? Yes, it is. So I want to use the 8 to help me figure out what that letter is gonna be. So I have 8. The other one that's parallel is this 2 right here. Okay, so if I took this 2 and I took this n, if I were to combine those together, it would equal the length of this line here, which is 8. So if I'm trying to find n, what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 8 minus 2. And when I do that, 8 minus 2 is 6. That means n is going to be 6. So I'm going to put a 6 here. I want to do the same thing when I'm trying to figure out what letter M is. I want to find these sides that are parallel to letter M. Well, the nice thing is that I've already used the 2 and the 8, so that probably tells me I'm not going to use those to help me figure it out because they're not parallel, they're perpendicular. But I am going to use the 10, and I am going to use the 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 10, and I'm going to subtract the 4. And the reason why I would do that is because if I took this line here, which is 4, and I were to take this line here, which is M, if I combine those together, it would be the same as 10. So I'm going to take 10 minus 4, which again is another 6. So I'm going to add another 6 here. So now I can go ahead and add all 4 of those numbers. I know that my 4 plus 2 is 6, and 6 plus 8 is 14. If I add on another 10 to that, that's 24. And then if I go ahead and add 6, that's 30, and then add one more 6. So the perimeter of this shape is going to be 36, and I want to label it 36 inches. Boys and girls, we are dealing with perimeter. So this, you shouldn't put squared because I'm not talking about area. Don't put cubed here because I'm not talking about volume. I'm talking about perimeter. So the label would just be inches. So as a review, 6th graders, if I'm trying to find these missing numbers, or missing letters, excuse me, I want to locate the sides that are parallel. So when I did N, I located the 8 and the 2 because they're parallel to it. When I was trying to find letter M, I want to find the sides that are parallel, which are 10 and 4, and subtract those 2. All right, so I hope that helped you with the lesson for today. It looks like you only got 2 practice set problems for today. You got to try to find 2 perimeters of complex figures. But again, don't forget to find those sides that are parallel to each other. So your assignment for this particular lesson is going to be to do pages 540 through 542. And you're going to do letters A through 28. If you have any questions on the math lesson, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can go back and watch the video if you need to. I am here to help you the best that I can, so don't be afraid to reach out to me. So I hope you guys do well in the lesson for today, and good luck with your lesson, and we will see you with the next video.